Gary, that was entertaining. I have to tell you, I enjoyed a lot more when I have already been insulting, and I didn't, I didn't do it to be insulting. It's what I fucking think, and I know there's got to be people out there that suffered in their childhood that still had expectations better than that and want to kill everything. But it's bullshit for when you talk about the sports victory. That's not the kind of victory that I ever have advocated. You're telling me, well, you have to be able to justify the horror. Why the fuck would I justify the horror? You and me, we love animals. We don't love the horror. Why would the fuck I have to justify the horror? I'm not trying to build a unicorn. I'm not saying it's a fucking unicorn. I'm saying when there's a goddamn concentration camp and your solution is, I blame the DNA, we all must perish, then you're a fucking idiot, Gary. Because the Nazis were to blame for the concentration camps. And it's a lot easier to go fight the fucking Nazis and win than to win when you fucking don't exist. Huh? Okay. I've never really talked up Gaia that much, but okay, you've extracted it. But I'm, from the fact that I do like nature and I find nature a spiritual thing. My material, physical, it feels good. It re-energizes me. Okay, and I figure that's because of the way I'm designed, not because it's the most wonderful thing. If I was from another planet, I'd probably find that comfortable. Okay, and I never said I'd build a monument to the DNA, and I would never do that. I've said that I am the fucking DNA. Okay? It's creating me. Yeah, it created that system where you can recognize the pain in your shoulder so you know there was something fucking wrong with your shoulder. It doesn't care about the misery of it. It cares about you finding the fuck out that there's something physically, actually, objectively wrong with your fucking shoulder. And there is no fucking objective reason you need to have a concentration camp or slavery and the rest of it. And you and I both, I think, have done some things to try to fight against that on an individual level. Sorry, I wasn't God of the universe, king of the planet, just solved it all with an edict, but that's not how it fucking works. You said you wouldn't want to entrust to me the care of something precious. What the fuck are you talking about that's precious? What is precious? I, I don't get. How can you. You're saying life is precious, but you'd end it all. How can you visualize all the animals that are being kept in captivity, some of which who are not tortured, and you're just going to kill them all, and oh wait, I'm sorry, this was just for humans, but no, it's not, because you talk about how it's just terrible in nature too, so all living things have to go, right? How the fuck can you see that as compassion? When you look at an individual animal and have a fucking empathy for it, and then you could just say, so I'm gonna kill you. That's fucking psychotic. That's why I look to the fucking childhood. How are you gonna explain expectations where you expect so high that you're gonna kill everything? Even things above the fucking minimum, and you say, why would I ask a retard? Because of individual rights, because of their individual precious nature of those lives, they get to decide for them fucking selves. And that's the way it's going to be. And you want another thing, another rule to sort it out? Fine. The other rule is try to kill everybody. See how far it gets. Okay, I don't need a fucking argument to stop you from killing me. I just need fucking to see you coming. All right? Now, I didn't say about fucking poverty in the childhood. I mentioned that, not having resources, but I was also not particularly impoverished. It's not about that. It's about the suffering during your childhood, and I was specifically talking about people who don't suffer in their childhood, who don't suffer, and have high expectations that they should never suffer, find they do, and then they got a big whiny problem with it. That's what I was talking about. You want to say somebody that had one of those childhoods and then in their 20s they had to deal with cancer and they suffered from that? That's not what I was fucking talking about. I was talking about people whose expectations are for their adulthood they should never suffer. And I did not say anybody else should suffer. I talked about when I overcome a misery that I've had to endure, that accomplishment goes at the top of my reasons why surviving life is good. That's why I would not ignore a concentration camp a mile from me, and I know because I have not ignored lesser things. I have taken a risk of myself for lesser things than that, because overcoming misery is where the fucking justification you're looking for comes fucking from. I would go and do something about that fucking concentration camp and probably get killed. You know why? Because there can be no enjoyment ignoring the suffering. And I don't ignore the suffering. And you know this. We agree on that. The question is the answer to suffering killing everything? Now, I held off calling it killing everything for a long time, years. But you in Stickum once more, and many times other than that, keep saying if you had the button that would kill everything, that's murder. That's not, hey, voluntary sterilization. Because you know that voluntary sterilization stuff's never ever going to work. I mean, fucking half the animals, more than half, all basically. I guess you could include humans, but even besides humans, are not going to do that. They don't even fucking understand the argument. They just want to fucking eat something and survive. You blame me for playing God, but it wasn't me that played God. Being drawn into procreation is a part of what we've been given. I did not invent that. I didn't go into my laboratory and say, I will create life from a system where there is no life creation. Now, I like the pseudo-responsibility thing, and I acknowledge that, you know, maybe you just developed this view very young from a particular perspective. And maybe it wasn't a perspective where you were ripped from an idyllic childhood. But let me tell you, idyllic is not because you were rich. That does not make an idyllic childhood when you're mind fucked by your rich goddamn parents with their fucking controlling ways, okay? I'm talking about that illusion that they put around kids, that it's supposed to be so good and the politicians are supposed to be better people and you can trust police officers on all of that bullshit. People that were given that illusion find their expectations severely disappointed. And I'm trying to figure out where the fucking thing comes from. See, there's plenty of people who want to kill everything, but you fucking care about everything. I'm curious how someone that cares about stuff could come to this conclusion, okay? I get euthanasia. You keep acting like, oh, well, you should, not acting, you say, Piero, you should have the worst death, so because you say it's all worth. No, I don't. I say that I believe in euthanasia. I believe in the right to suicide. And if I was undergoing a terrible, terrible death or looking at chemotherapy I didn't want to go through, then I would choose to take my mortality consciously. Hello, said that 1,000 times. We both believe in that. I'm not for characterizing all of nature as if it's all the last 6 months of fucking chemotherapy and then you die. That's what I'm against, okay? I have not argued about the Super Bowl ring metaphor you use. I think that it's crazy to think of that kind of victory as what epitomizes a success and strength when I have given you a bunch of times examples that well, I don't know if I've given examples, but I made the statement that it's the overcoming of suffering. Like, for example, freeing the slaves feels pretty good. Oh, but it's not done. There's still problems. Yes, well, those will feel good to fucking solve too. And I'm for your system. Well, let's just kill ourselves as soon as we get rid of the Nazis and the fucking slavery and the things that are avoidable, that we know should be avoidable. If we find out they're not, fine. Maybe I'll join your team. If we find out that they're solvable, but the ones left are just too much, fine. But I've done the math. And I don't believe that. And I did study physics. And I have done trying to do things for the world and for the affect these issues. And I've spent a tremendous amount of my own effort doing so. Okay? So I have done things to build it. And you're saying, well,